Hi, I'm Ryan Young, founder and CEO here at MyOutreach. Today, we're going to be talking about demand generation versus lead generation. Let's go. What is the difference between demand generation and lead generation? Well, demand generation is the bigger picture. Lead generation is just one part of that demand generation process. So if demand generation is creating demand, finding people that are interested, lead generation is capturing the information of those interested people. Typically, a demand generation process would include lead generation, which might be from your events, your content, any way you're capturing leads. But then everything that happens after, the lead routing, where are they going to next? The lead scoring, how much is each lead worth in our marketing automation platform? Then the sales development reps and the sales involvement of trying to qualify those opportunities into deals and moving that pipeline through the funnel. Then there's the retargeting and nurturing dead opportunities that didn't quite convert the first time around. All of this would come under demand generation. Lead generation is just one part of that process, which might be capturing the data and opt-in of those interested individuals. A question we get asked is, where do lead gen, demand gen sit in the funnel, and why does it matter? Well, brand awareness typically sits at the top of that funnel, where we're going to be educating unaware buyers about the problems they might have. We might do that through snackable advertising, radio ads, infographics, before moving down to the awareness phase, and this is where they're becoming aware of their problems. You're going to do that through informative content centered around education. Once they're aware of their problems, they may be considering different industries or solutions, and you're going to do that through ebooks, comparison guides. Once they're aware of the potential solutions, they're going to need to make a decision, and this is when they're going to be ready to meet with different vendors. They're going to be signing up to demos, potentially free trials, watching webinars, and then after they've decided on who they're going to buy, they may look to renew and become a brand advocate, and you're going to do that through a number of loyalty programs as well. What happens if you do the lead gen process at the wrong stage of the journey, like many companies do? What you'll find is, if you wait until these buyers are lower in the funnel to commence your lead gen activity, they're already a lead in your competitor's CRM much earlier on, which means that they've been influencing that person's buying decision much earlier on, and much more likely, 7 times more likely, to buy from said competitor. A lot of marketers confuse demand gen and lead gen, or worse, they skip the demand gen part entirely and focus too much on the lead gen. If you do that, you're going to notice a huge increase in your lead generation costs and a very inefficient conversion rate from lead to customer. Imagine this: we can generate a lead by convincing someone to download your ebook and give us an opt-in. That's the lead gen part done. Easy. What happens next is that buyer is going to go to your website, hope to be educated. If you're lacking educational materials or brand awareness materials, they're less likely to be convinced to buy from you when it comes to decision time. If you don't have educational materials on your website to accompany this lead on their buying journey, so case studies, Gartner Magic Quadrants, buying guides, you're really going to be holding yourself back. So by not taking care of your demand gen and focusing too much on the lead gen, it's going to be hugely inefficient, as you'll be spending a lot more on the lead generation part. The question is, which model is right for my stage, whether it's pre-seed, seed, Series A, Series B, or beyond, or a publicly traded enterprise? It's less about what stage you're in your funding journey and more about your go-to-market motion. That said, the funding could be a good proxy. So typically, if you are pre-seed, seed, Series A, you want to be focusing 100% of your energy on brand awareness and demand generation, and less so on the lead gen. You have no brand awareness. If we were to give you 1,000 top of funnel leads, no one's really going to know your name and you're going to have a very low conversion rate. Better that you don't get any assets and you allow people to learn about your brand for free and try to convert them later on. As you start moving through the funding stages now and you're at Series A or B, this lead gen money that you're going to get does need to fund headcount. So I would be splitting it between 30% on lead gen and 70% on wider demand generation initiatives. As you start to get more known, brand awareness is high. Now I would definitely be investing more into lead generation. So if you're Series C and beyond, or you're an established enterprise, you already should have dedicated teams looking after lead generation, all things events, content, webinar, SEO, inbound, all the number of ways you can capture your leads. But absolutely, you are going to need a dedicated demand generation team that can help you with an SDR team that's going to help convert those leads, follow up, give you the right resource, a marketing automation platform, organized and tuned to your business flow. So a question I get asked is what metrics matter at each stage of the buyer's journey and which metrics are likely to get us misled. So starting at the top with awareness, too often people are tracking impressions on ads, impressions on emails. That will tell you how many people saw the ad. Doesn't tell you if they remember you, how memorable it was. Also, impressions nowadays are heavily distorted with language learning models and AI dominating a large number of those clicks that are not even human. So I would definitely be looking further into brand recall, share of voice, how much is our name getting mentioned versus the competitors. It's a much more reliable metric. We've captured some awareness. We're getting people coming to our website and we now want to educate them. A metric that often gets us misled is how many page visitors are we getting? How many people are landing on this page? And while that might give you some information about how well people are finding you, it doesn't tell me how long people are staying on the page. They found the content, but have they actually read it? And this is where technology that tracks dwell time, tracks the heat map, where they're moving their cursors, can tell you a lot more and a much more reliable metric. Now that we're capturing the leads, the next thing that makes sense is to start capturing and tracking the lead information. It seems to be fading out now, but a popular one for a long time was tracking MQLs, marketing qualified leads. It is a vanity metric. What's more important is not how many people meet MQL standard, but how many of those are generating pipeline. And I would absolutely be tracking pipeline and the progression of your leads through the various stages of your marketing automation platform. The difference between clients that seem to get a lot of pipeline out of their content syndication investment and those that don't is not the lead gen journey itself, but rather what happens next. And so if we take a client who is happy, renews, they seem to be buying leads at volume, especially top of funnel leads at volume, very cost effectively. They then put them into a marketing automation platform to score them, route them, nurture them, and keep them warm until they're sales ready. Their sales team only receives the leads that have been warmed up in their marketing automation platform with a very positive outcome. Higher conversion rate, happier sales team. Let's take, by contrast, a client that invests the same budget in lead generation, but skips the demand generation part. They don't go into a marketing automation platform to be scored, rooted, and nurtured in different sequences. They go straight to a sales development rep. The sales development rep starts calling very fragile top of funnel leads that may have only downloaded one piece of content, trying to band qualify, trying to close for a meeting. Ultimately, they're going to have a much lower conversion rate and your SDR team is going to be dissatisfied. The difference was not in the leads, it was not in the lead gen journey, it's about what happened to them next. Company A invested time into the demand generation process and ultimately got a lot more pipeline, and company B skipped that, trying to rush to the finish line, ignoring human behavior and how buyers operate. Take your time, educate them, and you'll get a lot more revenue in the long run. If you like this video and you're interested in keeping up to date with marketing, demand gen and lead gen updates, hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and follow my-outreach.com for more information. See you soon.